So let's talk about a little bit about reputation, being new in the business and how to protect that and do what you say you're going to do kind of thing.
So that's funny, your last comment there, do what you say you're going to do. We founded the company on the phrase, we do what we say we'll do. And when people ask me what has been the most valuable, what's paid me more money than anything in real estate, it has been my reputation. It's doing what I'll say I'll do. It's not rocket science, right? Like, so many real estate guys are short-sighted. There's so many guys who think they're going to get rich quick. And, in hindsight, it took me a few years to make the first $1 million. That's still pretty quick. It felt slow.
Working a 9 to 5 somewhere. I mean, what's that look like, right?
Well, it's good, but I wasn't working 9 to 5, right? I was working 80 hours a week. So that stuff compounds. And, I see opportunity sometimes with younger guys getting into the business, and I have a couple of them in my company, and I'm glad to have them. I couldn't be happier to have these young guys, because when you see that ambition and guys that are willing to go work, like, I'll scoop those guys up all the time. We get inquiries for jobs daily, and sometimes you see the ones that have the right attitude. So doing what you say you're going to do is critical. And those guys that are that were Marcus guys that are now CBRE guys, I won't name them. They sold me my first building in 2009. I'm funding a big portfolio of industrial properties next month. They're both invested in that. They've invested in a number of deals with me over the years, but my broker relationships, which are really just a function of being loyal and doing what you say you're going to do, they get jerked around all the time. So if you say, I like the deal, I don't like the deal, it doesn't matter. Just mean what you say and do what you say you're going to do. That carries a lot of weight in a business that is so full of guys that don't get it.
Right.
Like, it's a relationship business. And we do jump around in the sense that, I learned residential because that was big. Now, my bidding business, which we skipped over, became a pretty big size company here in Phoenix. We catered to institutions.
Oh, wow.
As Wall Street, started buying all these residential homes, a lot of the hedge funds and different private equity groups came out and started buying foreclosure houses because they were building pools of them. So, I got to see the playbook from the private equity guys. We had them as customers, and we went and did this in more markets in the country where we buy foreclosures on behalf of institutions and build portfolios. We did that with our own money. Just being tied in with bankers and institutional guys and private equity guys, if there's a good deal, people told me this early and I didn't necessarily believe it, but it's still held true for 13 years. If you have a good deal, the money's always there. I mean, you and I have that discussion all the time, right? Yet to find a good deal that I didn't find the money for, right? And I literally started with nothing. So, and I still do that to this day. I see good deals and I say, okay, we'll buy it and I'll figure it out. And we do. It's doing the right thing. And something else you and I've had a conversation about. We had a deal that didn't go as I would have liked it to go. And I know you didn't. You weren't very involved in it at that point. You handed it to me. And I needed to make a decision to go and make something right to a relationship on who I sold it to. And there was no hesitation. Hey, we have a problem. Okay, we'll fix it. What does it take? I don't care about any one transaction. I care about relationships and reputation and building those. And that's just not as common as I'd like it to be or as it seems to be.
Yeah, that always surprises me. But at the end of the day, in this industry, it's the guys that you end up networking with. Like finds like, right? So if you're doing business right, you're going to find people that do business right. And you guys will end up doing business. It's usually, birds, however that goes.
Birds of a feather flock together, John.
This is true. I want to talk to you about real quick, and there's some other stuff I want to touch on, but from what you talked about, like the stuff when you were buying for the institutions, I know that we have some pretty cool stuff working, and I wouldn't mind talking about that real quick. We have a couple states here, Arizona, Nevada, that we have a pretty cool opportunity if people are working with us to to do some deals with us is, and obviously we have a training program that we go through with them, but I was hoping maybe, just for a second, you could touch on that. If you're kind of like, what is it that, because you're still working essentially with these hedge funds and some of these companies to get them paper. It's not your primary focus anymore by any means. Like you're in a totally different space, which I'd like to touch on here in a minute. But for the people that are, maybe these wholesalers having issues, or maybe people getting into the market and they're drumming up some business, but not able to find the margins that they were hoping for maybe a fix and flip, or maybe it just doesn't need that much work, or whatever the case may be. Like maybe we could touch on what those deals look like, what maybe parameters there are.
Well, look, so John, right now, I'll buy a package of single family homes. We bought 14 of them together in February and resold them to an institution. I'm building industrial. I'm building multifamily in Texas, like a $35 million project. I'm buying apartment buildings, value add stuff. I'm buying portfolios of industrial. I'm doing everything. And I like to keep that flexibility to go opportunistically buy stuff. And right now, the institutions are buying as many houses as they can. There's more, there's like 15 or 16 of them that my partners have a relationship with that have, $1 billion plus to deploy. And that's nationally. My friends are most involved in Texas, California, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. Those are kind of our hotspots. But I will share what that buy box looks like. So if you've got anybody in your network or students and whatnot that come across these, I do all those things because they all make sense to me in different ways. And I'm not ever going to be, just a realtor. And I'm not a realtor, by the way, but I'm never just going to do one asset class because it keeps shifting.
Right.
Opportunities and markets get out of balance, and this one's out of equilibrium right now. That one's not. So right now, there's a huge appetite at an institutional level to buy homes. So if I were getting started and getting moving and I didn't have a lot of capital to play with, I would absolutely be, out doing that guerrilla marketing, finding homes. And today that buy box is about $400,000 max price. It'll be a little bit higher in California, but Arizona, Texas, Nevada, those kind of things, 400 max, 1950 or newer construction. They need to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at a minimum. They'll go bigger, but the sweet spot is a 3-2.
Okay.
Needs to be over 1,000 square feet. Pool or no pool doesn't really matter. They don't like solar because that adds some complication and complexity that isn't relevant right now. But if we can hit those kind of 3-4 main parameters, newer than 50, 400 grand or less, 1,000 square feet or bigger, and 3-2, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The institutions right now, because they have so much capital to deploy, they are not underwriting like you and I would, or a conventional realtor would, where, hey, here's the comps in the neighborhood, here's what we can pay. They're looking at it more with a commercial investor hat on, where they say, okay, the income it produces is X, or this is what the rent's, comp to. Well, we can pay, a 3.5 cap or a 4 cap on that, which is a crazy price. The market price for the house might be 300 grand, and they can pay 370
right.
or something like that. So there's big money to be made wholesale.
Yeah. And it's another, just good arsenal to have in your tool belt to be able to do that. It's just another exit strategy. I like it. One key thing for the people that are listening, it does need you to be under contract and have interior photos, you guys. So it can't just be like sending all these different deals. There's a couple other things that we'll train you guys up on for those of you who are working with us, and make sure you understand it. So we want to make sure that we're working with the people that follow the guidelines, understand it, and following the rules essentially, and not bogging down the system with once in a while we get someone that gets a little excited and skips the training and then sends in a bunch of stuff, and you're just like, okay, wait. So anyways, just want to,
what that's a good way to do, John? That's a good way to not do what you're supposed to do and do what you say you'll do.
Yeah.
Time, get your ducks in a row, do your due diligence. Don't waste our time. We'll listen. I'll listen to a deal from anybody.